welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be reading books set in the summer. I feel like I have not been doing a lot of summer reading or just reading summery books. I've just been reading a lot of random things. But it's July and it's scorching hot outside and I'm so in the mood to read summer books. So that's what I'm going to do in today's vlog. I'm currently listening to The Fury by The Fury. I'm gonna put it up here, and he's the same author as The Silent Patient, and this is actually a mystery thriller type. Well, I don't know if it's thriller. It doesn't feel very thrilling, but it is set on a Greek island. I think it's a pretty good book to read in the summer. It took me quite a little bit to get into it, but once I got into it, I was so into it. I think I literally only have 2 chapters left, so I'm gonna finish that, and then I'm going to start 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. I'm really excited for this. I think it's going to be emotional. A lot of people have told me that this one is really emotional. So I'm starting off with this. But basically, back to The Fury, it's about this actress who takes her friends and her husband and her son on a vacation on her private island, and she ends up dead, and it kind of just goes from there and unravels the entire truth. And because she's an actress and her friends are also actresses and actors and whatever, it's almost set up in a way that's act 1, act 2, act 3, like a play, and then also it's being told by this unreliable narrator. It's hard to fully believe everything you're hearing and trust everything you're hearing because he himself is just unreliable. He's a hot mess. So it's been really interesting. As I said, it was kind of slow to get into at first, but when it picked up, I could not stop listening. And I feel like this is one of those things that would be better to listen to than read. That's just my personal opinion. But anyway, I'm going to go finish that while I look for my favorite ring because I lost it. I have no idea where it is. And I will let you know what I rate that when I'm done. And then we will start 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. I went outside and I found this in front of my door. I got my matcha. I haven't had matcha in so long and I've been trying to make coffee work again. After almost 2 years of not drinking coffee, I realized I just don't like coffee anymore. It tastes horrible. I used to make the best homemade coffee ever. Anyway, that's not the point of this. I'm just glad I have my matcha again. I got Heartstopper too. And this wasn't supposed to be a part of this vlog, but who knows? Do they go on summer vacation in this book? If they do, then I'll read it, but I won't know that until I read it. So I'm kidding, I'll stick to the script, but I'm just glad to have it because the last one ended abruptly, literally a cliffhanger. I think one of the worst parts about losing something in your really tiny bedroom is that there's not very many places to look, and you guys don't care. You guys don't care. Back to the reading vlog. Okay, so I finished The Fury and I feel like everything I said still holds true. It starts off slow, it got really good in the middle, and when I got into it, it definitely was so gripping. But now that I'm finished it, I will say the ending was predictable. I kind of did guess the ending a little bit, and I feel like the plot twist in the middle was way better than the plot twist at the end. I didn't really feel like it was a plot twist. I kind of felt like it was just oh, here's the reveal that you probably already knew. It was still really good nonetheless, and it was entertaining, and I feel like this is something that could keep your attention on vacation. I think it's a really good summer read, and I think I will rate this one 4 stars. It's definitely not as good as The Silent Patient. I rated that 5 stars, and that was actually one of the first ever mystery thrillers that I ever read, so he had a lot to live up to, and that's okay. I really do enjoy his writing style though, and I think if he comes out with books in the future, I would still read them. The second line of this book is crazy. That is one hell of a way to start a book, especially considering that I've heard this book is going to be emotional. Trident Gate. Interesting. only just read the back of this book, and maybe I wouldn't have been so surprised by the introduction if I did read the back of the book. But I love going into things blind, and you see, that was more entertaining than it would have been if I knew that she was a best-selling erotica writer. That took such a turn because I was like laughing at the beginning, and it was like some comedic relief, but then we learned that the main character has an illness that I haven't discovered what exactly it is yet, but it like throws her off balance and she can't live her life in the normal way that she wants to. So just learning about that, I can immediately feel why people say this is an emotional one, and I feel like it's gonna be a long ride. I'm really enjoying it so far though. I really like how it's written, and I have already annotated a couple things in one single chapter, so it's all going good so far. I can already understand the ways that this book is gonna be emotional, but there's so much comedic relief. Like, I'm having a good time, even though I already like found out something sad. So I like that. It's like balanced for now. So basically in this book, the two main characters are authors, and they meet again at an event for authors, but no one knows that they have met in the past when they were teenagers, and they only spent 1 week together, but it was apparently this like epic love affair or something. They haven't seen each other since, so when they meet again at this event, they're forced to like confront everything. They've apparently also been secretly writing to each other through their books that they've been releasing, so that's interesting. I love books about authors and about people who love reading. But yeah, I'll update you when I have more to say, but I am enjoying it so far. Day, and I literally just found out something so insane in this book. Like, something so insane was revealed about why they haven't spoken in, I think it's like 15 years or something, in lots of years. I just didn't expect that at all. I don't know. I'm now on chapter 20, and that's page 223, and so far I am really loving it. I feel like at the beginning, well, at the very beginning, I really liked it, and then there was a part where it was kind of like going back into time to kind of set up the story and explain a few things. And I was unsure how I felt about it. I didn't dislike it, but I didn't love it either. Like, I was kind of just feeling indifferent. I was kind of just like going along with it, going through the motions, and then I fell in love with this book so much. It just continued on, and the writing is so amazing, and the way that everything is described, the way that Shane describes Eva and the way that Eva describes Shane, it's just, their connection is insane. I love this writing so much. And another thing that I love is that the main character, she's a single mom who had a complicated relationship with her own mother, and it kind of just shows the contrast between how she was with her mother and then how she is with her now daughter. It's made me tear up like 5 different times, and I just love everyone's like inner monologue. It's just so good. I feel like I always expect summer reads to be very light topics, and although I knew this one was going to be emotional, I never expected triggering topics to be in here. And I think my bestie Amy on here on YouTube did warn me to be ready for this one. I would definitely say check trigger warnings because I just didn't really expect it. I am not too badly affected by the topics in here, but definitely check the trigger warnings. There's so much culture written into this book, and I just feel like it's such an important piece that anyone could enjoy and learn from, and I I cannot get over the writing. I have underlined so many things in here. It's a lot of description, and that's not usually my favorite type of writing. That's not usually my favorite thing, but just this one was, it's done so well, and I'm just having a really good time reading this. I think I'm honestly gonna finish it today. So I will let you know my final thoughts. It's kind of feeling like a 5-star read right now. It would have to take like a drastic turn. Also, if anyone cares, I found my ring. So I finished it easily, 5 stars, so easily a 5-star. Oh my god, I could literally read like 300 more pages of them, of just this. I feel like it ended in a perfect way. But this book, I was literally going in between like wanting to cry, fighting for my life, and giggling and kicking my feet. I think I was like filming when I was on the roof fighting for my life, and literally like 15 minutes later, I was like smiling. It just had everything that I would want in a book. I remember at one point thinking, when it was going through their past and showing how they knew each other in the past, I was thinking like, they are not good for each other. They should not be in each other's lives. I don't know where this is going, but I don't know how to feel about them together. But it also just shows so much growth that they've had apart from each other. I loved that aspect so much, and it just made me root for them so much more. I truly enjoyed every aspect of this book, the culture that's being written into it, the contrast of like her mother and her daughter, and how she like sees motherhood, and how her relationship with her mother affects her own relationship with her daughter. Like, it's just, that part to me was just so beautiful. Honestly, this is one of those books that I'm already like, I want to reread it. When am I gonna reread this? And that's how I know it's a 5-star. And this is my first 5-star read in like 2 months. I had like 10 5-star reads in the first 5 months, and then I just didn't have any for 2 months. But this is easily a 5-star read, and I already want to reread it. So that tells you how great it was. So the next book that I'm gonna read is Summer Romance by Annabel Monaghan, and I kind of wanted to read this because I thought that it would be more of a light experience, but the main character is grieving, so I'm not sure if that's true, but I'm gonna read it anyway. It looks like it'll have at least a fun ending, a happy ending. I don't know. I'll probably start this later though, because last night I was distracted by Love Island, and I'm gonna go watch Love Island right now. It's so good. So I will see you later when I'm gonna start this. It's only been 1 chapter, but I already love this so much more than Nora Goes Off Script. So I'm really happy about that, because that book was really disappointing. And I was scared to read this, but so far so good. I don't want to speak too soon, but I feel like the writing is different. Like slightly, and I'm liking this more. Enjoying this so far. So this is about a woman who is getting a divorce. She's been separated for a year. She's a single mom, and she's also going through a lot of grief because her mother died 2 years, and her husband also asked for the divorce on the anniversary of her mother's death. So she just lost a lot in recent times. And basically she goes to a dog park with her dog, obviously, and her dog pees on a stranger. We find out some things about him within like 60 pages, and I honestly did not expect that. I'm really loving it so far. One thing I remembered about Annabel Monaghan's writing in Nora Goes Off Script is that I enjoyed it, but I just really didn't like the plot. I thought it was really boring, but this one is more interesting, so it is going well. I'm like 100 pages in, so I feel like I shouldn't say too much, but honestly, I feel like I could finish this tonight, or most of it, if I don't get distracted by Love Island again. That's literally been my downfall. Like, I'm enjoying my books so much, but then I'm like, oh, I'll just watch one episode, and one turns into like 5, which is insane because those episodes are like an hour and 30 minutes long. That's like watching 5 movies in a row. It's such brain rot, but it's so good. No Love Island for me tonight. I'm putting my foot down. I am so pleasantly surprised by this. I'm so happy that it didn't disappoint me because I was worried about this one, but it was amazing. Every time the main character was feeling giddy in these books because of the romance, she said she felt carbonated, and I just thought that was the cutest thing ever. It was so wholesome. The entire book to me was so wholesome, which I kind of feel like was such a turn from the last Annabel Monaghan book that I read, which is Nora Goes Off Script. I can't help but compare the two because after reading that, I almost didn't pick this up, and I almost just never picked up another Annabel Monaghan book, but I decided to try this one out, and I'm so glad that I did because I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Now that I've read 2 of her books, I feel like I know her recipe a little bit. I feel like some authors have just elements of their books that are just always the same, and I can't say that it's like that for all of her books because I haven't read all of them, but I know like Emily Henry, she definitely has a recipe, and some people hate that. They feel like they're reading the same thing over and over again. But the similarities that this had to Nora Goes Off Script, single mom, deadbeat dad, and the love interest is someone that's making the single mom feel like young and free and find themselves again. Honestly, I'm never opposed to authors having like a recipe. I get it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I absolutely loved it so much more in this book versus Nora Goes Off Script. The characters in this book were so much more likable. The story was so much more enjoyable. It felt like they were actually doing more things throughout the book. It didn't just feel like mundane day after day after day. This is just so much better, and I'm so glad that I read it. Another thing that I noticed this author does is like the characters have this one activity that they always do, and in the last book they were constantly drinking wine at all times of the day, every day, and she had kids and she had responsibilities, and it's just like either this is not realistic or you guys have a problem. Their thing that they did continuously was they were having barbecues. Like they kept grilling burgers and chicken, and they would like have these dinners, and like barbecues kept coming up throughout this book, and that is just so wholesome. It just felt so like summer, and then the fact that there were kids involved, it just felt right, if that makes sense, instead of drinking wine at 10 a.m. It just made so much more sense for a family dynamic because Miss Nora was, I don't know. Anyway, I compare these books. I always do because I feel like I have to. In any case, there's someone who didn't enjoy Nora Goes Off Script and you're thinking about giving this author another chance, like I would say go for this one. It was really good. And it's so interesting because when I was reading Nora Goes Off Script, there were things that I liked about it, like elements that I liked about it. And it's almost like she took those elements, put them in this book, and just made it so much better. I rated Nora Goes Off Script 1.5, and I'm rating this a 4.5 stars. So that should tell you that regardless of the similarities, there's a huge difference there. And I'm definitely recommending this one. This book didn't have an epilogue, and I randomly like really loved that. Sometimes I feel like books wrap up nicely, and then you turn the page and it says epilogue, and it's just like, I don't know if this is completely necessary, and I wasn't too like opinionated when it comes to an epilogue. I used to not care, but I recently read an epilogue that was like 20 pages long. I don't even remember what book it was, but I read an epilogue that was like 20 pages long, and I'm now deciding that I don't like them. This is the moment I realize I don't know if I like epilogues, but I think I like them when they're like 3 to 5 pages. I feel like this book could have easily been like, oh, 3 years into the future, this is how they are, this is the epilogue, but she didn't do that, and I really appreciate that, because does anyone really care? It's how we expect a romance to end. You don't need to show us 3 years into the future, you know? And if you feel the need to, I feel like you could do it in 3 pages, 3 to 5 pages. That's all I need for an epilogue. But yeah, all of that to say that I loved that this didn't have an epilogue. It didn't drag on at all. I love the pacing of this book so much. I think it's so insane how much I love this, and I had no hopes. Like, I think that contributes to it. When your hopes are too high, you can only get let down. But I had no hope for this one. Yeah, 4.5 stars. I enjoyed it. I recommend it, and I will start another summer book tomorrow. Sitting on my glasses. It's not even funny. I remember when I went to go get them, the guy like, this is bad. He like did this to show me that it could do that. Like the frames are, I don't know, flexible or something. And I was like, what the hell? But then I realized I really need that because I sit on my glasses often. Anyway, so last night I started Bad Summer People on my Kindle, and I only read like 20 pages and then I went to sleep. I knocked out. This book is basically about a bunch of terrible rich people. They're all vacationing on Fire Island for the summer, and someone gets murdered. So we don't really know anything yet. As I said, 20 pages in. I don't know anything yet. I just know that we're being introduced to all the characters one by one, and I like the story so far. Like, I'm interested and I want to know what happens. I want to know how this all unfolds. And it's interesting because learning about each character and like their dynamics with one another, I am enjoying that part. But at the same time, the writing is kind of throwing me off. Like the way the author feels the need to like over explain things, which is kind of crazy to me because this book is only like 260 pages, yet I feel like things are being over-explained, and I don't know if I love that. Like, for example, we're meeting this character named Robert, and she goes on to tell us about Robert's brother. Like, she's telling us so many details about Robert's brother, and maybe it's going to make sense in the end. Maybe Robert's brother is going to come back and it will be necessary, but I just don't think that that was necessary. Like, Robert isn't even in New York, he's still back in Florida, and it's like he's pretty distant from his family. So I don't know if over-explaining his brother is gonna be useful, but we will see. My tummy hurts. I think I'm gonna go outside to read. I feel like in the summer, I think the cure for everything is to just go outside. But my stomach hurts. That I filmed, I was on the terrace reading, having a great summer day, and then I got so like ill out of nowhere. Like, my stomach was hurting so bad, and I felt like I was being, I don't even know, it was really bad. And so I left the terrace, came back downstairs, and I was in bed for the rest of the day. I couldn't eat anything. I was just bedridden, but I did finish the book. That's the one good part about being bedridden. I had time to finish the book. Oh my god, it was so bad though. Anyway, so this book, if you need someone to root for, do not read this book. All of the people in this book are terrible. The title of this book, Bad Summer People, is so accurate because they're just all terrible people. I feel like this isn't anything that you've like never seen before. I feel like there are lots of books out there about rich people who are terrible people and they're all doing insane things to each other and pretending to be friends. Like, it's nothing we've never seen. I always just find it quite entertaining. I feel like the biggest downfall of a book like this is that when there's so many like different people to learn about and different point of views, like I personally feel like it's impossible to make all of their point of views interesting, and I feel like it's impossible to care about all of them. Like, there's a couple people you'll care about, and then when you get to like someone's chapter, you'll be like, okay, can we like move it along? Let's get back to Lauren, or let's get back to Jen. You know what I mean? I feel like that's inevitable with books like this, and so maybe that's just a me thing, maybe that's just a preference thing, but this book definitely loses some points there for me anyway. Once I did get used to how this was written though, I actually found it pretty gripping and I actually started to enjoy it. I actually enjoyed the ending of this book, but I feel like if you read a lot of mysteries, you would probably guess what it is, because I kind of guessed a little bit, but then something kind of surprised me. I feel like when I do read them, I'm never thinking too much ahead, but the ending just wasn't that shocking. I liked it, I liked where it went, but it really wasn't that shocking. I decided to give Bad Summer People a 3.75 stars. I would recommend it. It's a very quick, easy read. And I feel like a lot of summer books are romance, based around a romance, based around a couple, and so this was quite different. And I love reading about summer places in New York, Fire Island, the Hamptons, anywhere on Long Island. I love it, so I really enjoyed the summer vibes of it and how like everything was described and written. If that sounds like something you would like, I would recommend it, but honestly, I don't think you're missing out that much if you don't read this book. Just to recap, I read 7 Days in June by Tia Williams and it was a 5-star read. I really recommend this. Literally everyone should read this, especially in the summer. Although I feel like this is one of these books that you can read at any point of the year. I could read this in November and be completely like fine. I wouldn't even think too much about the season. Also, this book to me has such great reread potential. I'm already thinking, when am I gonna reread this? Like, obviously I want to give it some time, but I feel like I'm probably gonna reread this book before the year ends. It's such a great read with complex characters and it discusses such serious issues, but there was also great comedic relief that I personally didn't expect. I found myself laughing and I didn't expect that, and then the tone would like get more serious, and it was just such a great combination of everything that I would want out of a book, and I need to read more books by Tia Williams immediately. The next book I read was Summer Romance by Annabel Monaghan, and I originally said in this video that I want to give it a 4.5, but I keep thinking about it and it would not leave my head, so I feel like I know it wasn't a 5-star read, because for me personally, when a book is a 5-star read, I literally read the last page, close the book, and I'm instantly like, yeah, that was a 5-star. Like, I just know. I always know immediately, and it didn't give me that feeling, but it was so good. And the more that I like sit on it and think about it, I was constantly thinking about the characters and the world. I really do enjoy the world. I think summer was described so well in this book, and the activities that they did in the summer, I loved it so much. It was just so fun. And another main reason that I feel like giving this 4.75 stars instead of 4.5 is because I already want to reread this one too. I was like, this is one of those books that I would reread in the winter when I'm missing summer. When I'm feeling nostalgic and I just need something to remind me of summer. This is definitely one of those books that I would read. Instead of 4.5 that I said earlier, I'm giving this a 4.75 stars. I think everyone should read this one before summer ends. And honestly, if winter comes around and you haven't read it yet and it's on your TBR and you're feeling nostalgic for summer, just read it anyway. It's so good. And as I said, Bad Summer People on my Kindle, 3.75 stars. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it, please give it a like and subscribe for more, and I will see you soon. Bye!